Hey, watch out. Stop. Ooh, me? I stopped dead in my tracks, startled by the loud voice coming from behind me. The next moment, I was forcefully pulled back by a man grabbing my left arm. Then, there was an impact like a massive tremor. Right in front of me, a large tree had split in two. I had no idea what had happened. Are you okay? The man's voice brought me back to reality. Oh. I'm fine. Thank you so much. You're not fine. We need to get you to a hospital right away. He immediately hailed a cab with a wave of his hand. I felt a sharp pain on my right cheek. It seemed to be bleeding. It was a bit swollen. We got into the taxi and headed to the nearest hospital. The man handed me a towel in the car. Please press this against your right cheek until we get to the hospital. Ah, thank you. Are you hurting anywhere else? No. I'm okay. The man's face was pale, clearly worried about me. I was still utterly confused. Fortunately, assessment at the hospital found the cut was small and shallow. This wound isn't deep, you'll heal up quickly, the doctor said. Hearing this, the man looked visibly relieved. As soon as we stepped outside the hospital, the man bowed deeply. I am so sorry. The accident was my fault. Please, don't. You don't have to apologize. Confused by his sudden apology, the man lifted his head and handed me his business card. The card read, Michael Thompson, Site Supervisor for the Civil Engineering Department at Anderson Construction. My name is Michael Thompson. I am the supervisor responsible for the construction worker who caused your injury. According to him, a piece of lumber had fallen from the scaffolding at the construction site his company was managing, and the impact caused fragments to fly off, cutting my right cheek. I'm truly sorry. It's not a serious injury, really, I'm fine. No, that's not acceptable. It's unforgivable to have caused an injury to a woman's face. I will take full responsibility and ensure we handle this with the utmost sincerity going forward. Michael bowed deeply again. That was how I met him. My name is Julia. I'm currently handling accounting for my father's company. While feeling apologetic to him for continuing to apologize, I also introduced myself. I should have been more aware of my surroundings so that I wouldn't have troubled you. I'm really sorry. Don't be. Julia, it's not your fault at all. Michael looked flustered as he apologized to me. His company is a subcontractor that gets work from major general contractors. My father's company deals with carport and veranda exterior construction, as well as landscaping. I studied economics in college and got a job in the accounting department of my father's company. I didn't use any connections, I was hired through the regular process, which surprised my seniors at the time. I met Michael about 6 months after I started my job. My first impression was that he was a very earnest man. Over time, he would occasionally call and express concern for my injury. Even after my injury had healed, we kept in touch, and I gradually became attracted to his sincerity and kindness. Then, on February 14th, 4 months after we met. On Valentine's Day, I decided to confess my feelings. Nervously, I carried the homemade chocolates I had made the day before to our meeting spot and handed them to Michael, who was already there waiting. His eyes went wide as he saw the beautifully wrapped box. Is this? Can I take it to mean that I'm your special someone? Yes. Seeing my flushed face, Michael blushed as well. Thank you, but darn, you beat me to it. Actually, I was planning to say something before we ate dinner today. I hadn't expected such a plan from him, and Michael and I laughed together. 2 years passed, and our relationship continued smoothly. One day, after attending a summer festival, it suddenly started to rain, and we hurried into Michael's nearby house. Oh no. I'm completely soaked. As I borrowed a towel and dried my wet hair, Michael made some herbal tea. Thank you. Your herbal tea is as good as what they serve in specialty shops. It's just a tea bag, though. Well, I'll make it for you every day if we get married. What? I was taken aback. Michael then became serious and sat in front of me. Julia, will you marry me? I was stunned, facing the earnest look in Michael's eyes. I hadn't anticipated a proposal. Is that a no? He asked, seeing my silence. Snapping out of it, I nodded vigorously and smiled. Yes. I'd be honored. For a moment, there was silence, and then Michael exhaled deeply. Phew. I'm relieved. I was nervous you'd say no since you didn't say anything. Sorry. I was just surprised. I actually wanted to prepare a ring, but I thought it would be proper to ask for your parents' blessing before doing that. Let's go pick one out together after getting their approval. Watching Michael talk with a shy smile, I thought again how sincere he was. The next day, he was set to visit my parents' house to formally introduce himself. When I told my mother the previous day, she agreed without hesitation. It was supposed to be a day of celebration, announcing our engagement, but for some reason, I was so nervous since morning. At 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. It was an hour before my appointment with Michael. Wondering what was going on, I went to the door and saw my sister, who had married last year, and her husband standing there. Sis? What are you doing here? I heard it from Mom. Your boyfriend's coming over to say hi, huh? That's why I decided to drop by. Susan chuckled as she nudged me with her elbow. You too, John? Sorry for bothering you this early in the morning. As a brother-in-law, I wanted to see what kind of guy my sister's boyfriend is. John graduated from a state university and joined my father's company's HR department right from the start, dating Susan for about a year before they got married last year. He's quick-witted and good at his job, so he's quite relied upon by everyone around him. At 32, he's even rumored to be the next president. Dad, a firstborn son and also a state university alumnus, took to John quite well, having no hesitation in accepting him as a son-in-law. I, on the other hand, always found people like John, who seemed a calculating person with a friendly smile, quite difficult to deal with. You can never tell what he's thinking, and sometimes his eyes don't smile. Every time John comes over, he usually brags about his alma mater. I'm forced to hear the same stories over and over again, and it's painfully annoying. 5 minutes before the appointed time, Michael arrived. When I went to greet him at the entrance by myself, Michael was wearing a sharp suit. It was refreshing to see him out of his work attire. Welcome. My parents are in the living room, let me show you the way. As I opened the living room door, he bowed to my parents. Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today. I'm dating Julia. My name is Michael. Nice to meet you. I'm Julia's mother. Thank you for coming today. Please, come inside. Excuse me. As he was ushered into the room by my mother, he could feel the piercing gazes of my father and John. Michael took out a gift from a paper bag. I was on a business trip to San Francisco until yesterday, so I brought some Ghirardelli chocolates. I hope you'll all enjoy it. Oh. Thank you. Typical Michael. Even thinking to bring a gift, perfect. As I was impressed with his impeccable actions, Susan exclaimed as she looked at the package. This. This is that incredibly famous Ghirardelli chocolates you can only get in San Francisco. It has delicious, rich, sweet and aromatic chocolate flavor, produced since 1852. Let's try it right away. I've been wanting to try it. What are you doing all of a sudden? Stop it, it's embarrassing. My mother scolded Susan, who was excitedly talking about the treat and trying to open the package. I'm so sorry. Michael, please have a seat. Thank you. Excuse me. He sat on the couch opposite my parents, and my mother made some refreshments. Nice to meet you. My name is Michael. I'm dating Julia with the intention of marriage. Oh. Where did you graduate from and where do you work? John asked Michael, who bowed in response. What kind of question is that to ask someone you've just met? I didn't go to college. I graduated from a vocational school and then joined my current company. This is my job now. Michael presented his business card. My father's face turned stern as he took the card. Then John, with a nasty grin, said condescendingly. Anderson Construction. Civil engineering site supervisor? So, you supervise construction workers, huh? Anderson Construction is a well-known company, but you only went to a vocational school? Our daughter graduated from a prestigious private university, have you heard? Dad looked Michael over as if appraising him, still with a stern face. Yes. I'm aware. Michael seemed troubled by my father's intimidating presence. It's rude to talk to someone you've just met like that. I scolded my father and John, but then Susan added more insulting words. While having an incredible eye for souvenirs, yet he's in construction work. And the fact that she's more educated and smarter than him, what does that say about him as a man? Julia is, after all, a CEO's daughter. She should at least be with someone who has a decent education and is a respectable person. Even you, sis. Cut it out. I'm just stating the facts. As I glared at Susan, an awkward silence filled the living room. Amidst this, our mother brought in pizza for everyone. It's a bit early, but shall we have lunch? It seemed she hadn't heard our previous conversation. With a smile, she placed the sushi in front of everyone. Please, Michael, don't hold back. Thank you. Michael replied, as he took the fork and knife. Then, John, who was sitting nearby with a smug grin, reached stealthily for his glass of water. In a flash, the glass tipped over, spilling the water all over Michael's plate. Oh no. Well, that's unfortunate. Mom panicked and hurried off to get a towel. I had been holding back, but I finally lost it. John, you might be good at studying, but you're an idiot for not understanding what you've just done. Wasting food and spilling water like that, I didn't think you were that kind of person. Julia. Watch your language. My father frowned and scolded me, but I ignored him and continued. Michael is in line to become the CEO. He's been out on the most important job sites, gaining experience and learning the business. Really? The three of them were taken aback by my words. Mom, who had returned, seemed to have overheard and said with a bright smile. So you are Michael. You're set to inherit the company, aren't you? Starting from the bottom and working to understand the business is a commendable attitude. Huh? Mom, how did you know that? Michael and I were both surprised. Mary Anderson. I met Michael's aunt at yoga class, she's a friend. She always talks about Michael, her pride and joy, who chose vocational school over college, passed the national exam for civil construction management, and within 5 years at Anderson Construction, passed the advanced level, a nephew with such bright prospects. For Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, who don't have children, Michael is a beacon of hope. Hearing this, John and Dad turned pale, and Susan looked down, embarrassed. Mom pressed on. John. Is spilling water on people's plates some kind of hobby for you, or was it, perhaps a mean trick on Michael? Her voice was gentle, but her eyes weren't smiling. This must be some misunderstanding. John was sweating, trying desperately to explain. Anderson Corporation, managed by Michael's uncle, is one of the leading general contractors. And Michael, who is set to become CEO of the subsidiary Anderson Group, has been trusted with various projects by the parent company. It wasn't hard to imagine what it meant to show disrespect to the future president of such a company. Michael, let's go out to eat instead. I took Michael by the hand and stood up, and Mom saw us to the door. We'll have a proper meal together soon, just the three of us, without them. Michael. I'm so sorry for today's disrespect. I'll have a word with those three. No, it's okay, really. Please continue to look after Julia. Mom bowed her head with a smile. We hadn't discussed marriage yet, but we both felt relieved at her words. Thank you for today. I will definitely make Julia happy. Excuse us, then. And with that, Michael and I left the house. Never seen you that angry before. You were quite something. I'll have to be careful not to make you mad. Sorry. I just couldn't take it anymore. No, it was good to see a new side of you. After that, we had dinner at a nearby restaurant and I saw Michael off at the station. A few days after, we immediately went to register our marriage, and then went to buy an engagement ring. Looking at the ring on my finger, I happily reported to Mom that we were officially married. After moving out of my parents' house, I moved into Michael's apartment, and at work, I handed over my duties to a contract staff member. I just couldn't keep up with my father, my sister, and my brother-in-law. Therefore, I decided to leave the company. After that, Michael officially became the CEO. He invited me to work with him temporarily, but I declined. I figured it was a good opportunity to start something new, so I decided to learn cooking. Nowadays, I'm getting daily cooking lessons from Mom. Actually, after a fight with my dad, she said she'd be taking a little break from home, so now we're living together. Dad must be having a tough time without her, not knowing his way around the housework, but it's a good chance for him to appreciate all the hard work his wife does. Susan is also having a spat with her husband and is currently living separately. According to a colleague, John, who was once so confident in his work, now spends his days just sighing and staring out the window, and apparently, he's become more of a nuisance than anything. As for me, I'm getting married to Michael and I intend to work on my cooking skills, so I can prepare delicious meals for him and our future family. We couldn't have a wedding, but right now, I'm really happy.